and welcome to Empowered by My Design, a platform where we come together to discuss the beauty of understanding our unique human design and our unique differentiation, which helps us to recognize our beauty, divinity, power, vision, purpose, and all in all, it helps us achieve and reach more fulfillment in our lives. We're discussing subjects that are relevant to the journey of deconditioning, and we hope that you will enjoy this episode.
So, since we are facilitating this space empowered by my design, I would love to share more about our specific unique designs and where we're coming from when we are speaking, what awareness we're sharing, so that we can, share a little bit more about ourselves and the perspectives the filters that we have and the perspectives that we give.
I feel like it really helps too to like introduce people to human design and what it's actually like to live with our designs.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can share some examples of things in our chart and how it shows up, it sort of like creates that link, and it makes it helps introduce the system as something that like you can integrate into your life, and there's something you can do with it. There's so many ways that you can gain insights from the system. But I do think personal examples of us living our experiment with the awareness of how our design is sort of coloring that, I think is really helpful and interesting.
Totally. And when I listen to you right now, I feel like I was really picturing your chart in my mind as you're talking. That's something that I love. The fact that I have access to both of your charts, to me, that's such a privilege, because I feel like when we talk, like what you were just sharing, Bunny, it was really representing the truth of who you are, and it's beautiful that I can actually recognize that for myself and for you, because I'm not just listening to logic. I'm not just listening to a feeling. I'm not just listening to an idea. I'm listening to you. And that's really cool. And, I'm just like, I'm inviting us to point out parts in our charts that can indicate our experience moment to moment. I know that I have gate 20 in the now, in the second line, in an undefined throat, which it gets ignited in the moment. I don't even really know currently what the transit is, but I know that things are coming up in the moment to be said for the purpose of awakening. And I trust it, and not having a defined throat is an interesting journey, that both of you are very lucky to have that definition, in the sense where, yes, maybe it's about the absolutely correct thing to say in the right moment, which is what I think defined throats are blessed with, which is what I'm here to learn. So I'm observing you, and I feel like I'm almost like feeling a really healthy defined throat is someone who has this in a natural way, like they're not actually thinking about it. And so even though sometimes I hear hesitation in someone with a defined throat, I'm still hearing clarity in the way that they speak. And I think that's a beautiful thing to recognize for everyone who has an undefined throat that's listening to us right now, to learn the value of like having this, the more information we have of people around us and what their definitions are, if you can start, like, this is just me. I look at everybody as a case study. So with my students, I always tell them, if you could just recognize that every person in your life is like a case study where you can see all these people, let's say that student has an undefined throat like me, like they have something really powerful for you to observe, And so that's what I do. I observe the way both of you speak. And I recognize the beauty in that not a lot of people probably have that ability to recognize that because they don't have this piece of information about you, And so, and I'm thinking to myself, what if all the friends of mine that have a defined throat, what if they could walk around with this knowing, not to say that I get to be the best speaker. It's more about I get to trust my ability to deliver. And there's so much wisdom, projectors, it's the words. The words become the transmission. Like I'm a transmitter, right? So I have this quality that I understand about the power of transmission. 2644, channel 2644 from my heart to my intuition, between my conscious sun and conscious Uranus, So it's that combination between the strongest part of my personality and my, like, what I'm here to do, and my biggest quirkiness, which really wants to express life in the moment. So the power of transmission means that we are all actually transmitters. We're all here to share wisdom in the moment. And when we recognize that as projectors, that transmission changes people's lives, it's a really powerful thing. And I feel that you both, with your defined throat, you have such a gift to be able to really make a difference for other people. So I recognize and I love that. And I'm very grateful to be able to share this with you right now. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for that recognition and for your gift of the undefined throat to share that guidance. And it just really helps me feel seen and helps me see and be more responsible for the way I speak. I would like to introduce myself and my channels of definition because as a projector, we are projecting our definition toward the other person. When we are seeing someone, we're receiving with our openness and we're also projecting our definition like into them, essentially. So I would love to share that I'm a splenic projector, 4/6 splenic projector with the channel of the wavelength, 1648, and the channel of structuring, 2343. And I have the cross of contagion. So just a little bit of background with the specific channels and the cross, because the combination of those elements does come out in my voice, as well as my other activations. But the most potent things that I hear are the structuring. I hear myself speak it because it's a unconscious channel, and the channel of the wavelength, the taste for the collective, for collective patterns as we move toward the future. So I hear those things come out, and I also love receiving feedback from both of you because that helps me see myself and witness what I'm saying and practice that so that I can be available for clients and for sharing the human design knowledge, because we are, as you said, we're channeling and transmitting this awareness that we're receiving, and not only in our definition, but also in all of the areas of openness where we receive and we take in and we learn so much about our environment, the people around us, the world, the systems at large. And we're here to really put that together, weave it together through our unique design so that we can share the awareness when invited. So it's really essential to know this because our platform here is we're making ourselves seen and available for our uniqueness and what we offer so that it can be invited. And there's so much depth. There's so much depth to having the awareness of each other's designs and the detail. So I'm an open book with my design, And I know both of you are too. So that really makes this a very deep and meaningful friendship that we all have.
Totally.
Yeah, it seems like the theme emerging, at least at the moment, is around the throat. So it'd be cool to get a little more specific about some of the differences between like how defined throughout myself and Colin speak, and then what like Rudy, what you see in the differences between us and how that shows up in our charts. And then like Rudy, your open throat still has activations in it. And so when you have the right moment and when you're invited to speak and when you're feeling that that frequency is coming through you, it still comes through in a particular flavor, even though it's an open throat. So there's so many ways to, yeah, get a little more specific and really dive into that, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating topic. The quality of who we are that comes through the throat and the whole process, like what we are bringing up, like what's important to us, what we're communicating. So important. I love, there's something that we always bring up in our conversations since we've been connecting for about a year now. We have those moments where we're like, this was golden. Like we get so in the juice of the magic that gets expressed. And this is really why we're doing this right now. Because we're like, we just want to enjoy this. This is what we consider the kind of work that we love to do. This is like a projector essence, is the recognition that we're not here to waste any kind of energy other than mental, intellectual capacity to see in the moment. So that's our insights. That's the energy that we're here to work with, right? So given that we're seeing that about ourselves, we're all like recognizing the difference between 20% of the population, the projectors, and then the generators, 70% of the population, are working completely differently from us. And that can be very, that can be really kind of almost confusing. Actually, not almost, it's confusing because we are meant to be demonstrating our unique value through our insights. And that comes easily for us when we talk as three projectors. We have this magical connection because we get that about each other. It makes it easier. And the recognition is why we're actually showing up here, because we realize, yes, this is what we're here for. We're here to share our insights in the moment. And, we wanted to bring it to the rest of the world. We wanted to celebrate that. So I just want to I want to really recognize in this moment the beauty of what we're celebrating, the fact that we're here, the three of us, and we're going for it. I'm really proud of us for showing up as the projectors that we are.
I mean, I personally really feel the channel structuring come through you. You have such a clarity with what you're saying and then how you compose your sentences. You hardly ever put a single word out of place. It's so precise, it's so clear. It feels very direct, but yet like easy to take in. It's not like, I'm actually curious what the lines are, because I'm finally starting to get a little bit more into those detail levels of the chart and feeling like, okay, I can take in what's the frequency of the line and how it changes things. So I would be curious to hear that, for an even another layer of like your specific frequency of the channel structuring.
Wow, thank you so much. That is like to feel seen. Wow. So I actually have 6 lines. 23 line 6 and 43 line 6. And I will say that it has taken me some time to get to this place of feeling trusting of this channel and allowing it to come through in a way where it moves naturally. I definitely used to have a bit more of like, I would kind of, I would hear myself say things and they didn't make sense. So it did take me some time to get to this place of like, the more I can let go because it's completely unconscious, the more I can trust it, the more it comes out in the moment. And in my head, I feel like I'm talking slow. Even though I might be talking normally, I'm talking slow to what it used to be. I used to talk a little bit faster and a little bit more like fill the space, and now I am a little bit more wait for the right thing and it's just going to come out. And that took a lot of letting go of what I think I'm going to say because it's an individual channel. So if I plan, it doesn't work. And that took a lot of trust. So I really appreciate that recognition because it definitely goes along with the timing in my life and the deconditioning process. And I'm still practicing right now because it's a 6 line. So it'll take me some time.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you for
Yeah, cool.
asking.
Sorry. I was going to add, I was just going to say, I also feel that there is a quality of the present in being present in the moment as a splenic projector that allows for the nature of the channel, the 2344 to be, it's not like you're thinking about it, it's just happening and you're trusting. And that's when it's like the genius comes out. The
And
genius
it's invited and recognized. I feel very recognized and available in that way. So thank you for having that, inviting this to the space because this is practice for me every moment that we share together. And it does have to be invited to not seem freaky. And I have definitely experienced that plenty where I'm just like, something wants to come out. Let me see what happens. And it's like, oh, can I put that back in?
You feel that sort of pulsing energy that is associated with individual circuitry, like that sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't? Do you feel a sense of melancholy when you don't feel like you have some sort of powerful insight to share? Just curious.
Oh yeah. So actually both of my channels have a moon activation. So there's also the moodiness or the cycle quality of the moon that both of my two channels that I have are on the cycle and it's a full moon right now. So I do feel more alive, more like full, like the hose that the channel is, it's on full blast. And it's exciting. And I do have moments of I feel a little bit less awareness coming through, or maybe less invitations coming through. And I would say that the moodiness is a bit more of like maybe more of a melancholy of like, oh, no one's inviting me. When will I share? How will I share? Kind of melancholy, not as much of like a mood. Like not as much of an emotional mood, but more of like, yeah, like the individuality has this like it wants to create. It wants to create a mutation, but it needs to be invited out, right? So there's that moment of like just sitting with it and just waiting with it. And I think that's where a lot of um my patterns for working with art came from. And, finding that time to like make art or do something low impact on my energy to like get that out and reading working getting diving deeper into human design knowledge like during those times are really important for me so that I don't get too low. So I definitely experience it. It's more like definitely in the mind in my intellectual stimulation than anything else. So I resonate with that.
So fascinating. I'm paying more and more attention to the difference between the quality of when am I actually invited to share and given that I don't have a defined throat and I have this very strong energy from my conscious sun, where my heart energy is 26, it's all about heart connection. It's like it's heart expression, heart transmission, heart communication that doesn't go to the throat. So I have to be so mindful of when I'm actually invited to speak. So for me, like a container like this is actually sacred, because I feel that this invitation is like it's embracing me. I feel like I'm enough here. So it's a really beautiful thing to express. No, truly, because you touched on the projected channels and what they mean. And it's not just for us. There's lots of generators that have projected channels, and they don't necessarily realize how they operate. I mean, that's a whole other story. I mean, most people don't have the tool of human design. But I do feel that it's a game changer when we have this information, available for us to be able to be aware moment to moment, because it's so nice when it does operate in alignment with our design. It's when we're aware of how to operate these channels and what does it mean to have a projected channel. It's it really changed my life big time. I can only imagine how much it changed yours.
Oh yeah, like these channels, that's such a good reminder that projected channels, which is all that we have because we are projectors. Generators have generated channels. Manifestors have, maybe a mix of projected and manifesting channels. But these projected channels are really, the purpose is really to offer insight, awareness, guidance for another person through our process, that we're offering that guidance. So it is really important to know how to, move this energy, like how to recognize if you're recognized, how to know when the invitation is correct for you with your body mechanics. So this is like really, yeah, this is a really juicy stuff. And we get to practice that here together because we're so aware of each other. And sharing this with others is like a little window into our, deeper truth that you don't get in just a day-to-day conversation. So you can see what we really want to show and what we really want to be like. This is our true selves.
Yeah, totally. And I want to tie this to what we were mentioning earlier. We're trying to bring awareness to our actual design. So I'm a 2644, right? So that's a projected channel from the heart to the intuition. Then I'm also in 1858, another projected channel from the intuition to the root. So, and I have gate 48 4 times connected to both of these channels, which is really interesting because it doesn't go to the throat. And it's an awareness, we can call 1858 48 towards the throat, which is what you have, Colleen. That's an awareness channel, right? It's an awareness stream of consciousness. So it's an interesting journey, to be able to work with this energy for me, because I really have to bring something worth saying. I cannot just say anything. It has to be worth saying. It has to be important enough, and I learned that in the hard way. But it's okay. I'm here for it. That's why I chose to incarnate, and I'm happy for it. So thank you for pointing out all of these. This is so helpful, I think, for folks that are, going to be watching this. Check out what are your projected channels. And it's so easy to find online. You literally just, and obviously it's part of, any guide that you will work with, whether it's one-on-one with a particular individual, or you're going to go for a particular program that has more of a class, or if you study by yourself. It's a really big part of the process is to understand, when are you meant to speak? And what are you meant to say? And is it valuable? I think that's a really big part for me in all of my relationships. So thank you for bringing this up.
Yeah, I think this is where the experiment really comes in, because it's through our experiment, moment to moment with human design, that we start to come to that sense of clarity around these topics. We witness ourselves speaking before it was the right moment or to the wrong person who didn't truly recognize us. And through living that, it's like, oh, actually, I had a little sort of intuition that this person didn't truly recognize me, but I said it anyway. And then I didn't feel good afterwards, And going through that little arc, that short little like 30-second arc or whatever it is, it feels like if we pay attention to those, then that's our design starting to get integrated into us. And then next time we make a slightly different choice or whatever. And through that process, through that experimentation, by witnessing ourselves and trying out different little strategies in our interactions with other people, that's how we are landing in our frequency, our truest selves, our truest nature. So, yeah, I guess just a reminder that that's living your design. That's being in the experiment, is witnessing yourself in these little moments and seeing, seeing what feels right to you, honestly. And you can take in what you read in a book or what you hear, but you won't truly know what actually resonates with your completely unique, differentiated chart until you live it for yourself.
Totally. And that's what we call the difference between living in design or out of design. It's a huge difference. Totally different. And that's a beautiful thing to bring up. I recognize this as probably one of the most valuable parts of realizing what does it mean to embody my design, or to be empowered by my design, or to show up in design, versus all of the distortions that we're all, not even aware we're dealing with every day. The conditioning and the habits, and there's so much there for us to witness and to learn. It's like a never-ending learning for us, this entire journey. Like, that's why they call it also, like, it's an experiment. It's a day-to-day. It's not like even after 7 years that you're like, I've arrived. No, it's an ongoing thing until you die, basically. You're constantly learning and deconditioning and showing up better as yourself in your design. So that's a beautiful thing to remember.
Yeah, and I think it's worthwhile too to mention that, I mean, this is my opinion, but I don't think there's a right way of doing it. It's each of our unique individual ways of figuring that out. And the word correct gets thrown around a lot in the human design world. And I think each individual person could use that word for themselves if it comes from an embodied experience of what feels correct or not for them. But I don't think there's any universal correct or not. I think we come to our own inner sense of truth by experimenting.
That just brought up this point for me where I just was thinking about how we're in a culture that values standardized education, in which there's an answer on a quiz. You either get the answer correct or incorrect. And we've been trained in school to, value the correct answer. And it's so one or the other. And what we're moving toward is this differentiated learning style. What is the answer? What's the most creative way to the answer? How does someone think differently and uniquely? And it's not about going a specific way, a specific process to have a certain answer, but to be more creative and to create new questions and find different answers. And I'm seeing education move in this route as well as, what we're doing here is valuing and appreciating someone's difference so that we can continue to grow and flourish. Instead of standardize everyone into a homogenized space, we've seen that that doesn't work. So, um, I just really appreciate this human design knowledge for that reason, to value our uniqueness. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Bunny.
Yeah, it'd be so cool to see human design integrated into, yeah, educational systems.
Mm.
I think a lot of people are using it with parenting, which is awesome. And I know that's what Ra originally said, was that it was for the next generation. But I know we all feel that there's still value in it for us. And for us, it's a little bit more of a deconditioning rather than being supported to live our design from start to finish.
Mhm.
And I think by us looking at ourselves and having the courage to live our designs and to learn how to communicate about ourselves so that we can have, boundaries that we might need or be able to express ourselves in certain ways, that helps to kind of create ripples out into society and hopefully, start to allow more people to live more as themselves. It'll be so cool to see what the next global cross with all of its individual themes, like, yeah, I'm so curious to see how much that like creates sort of an exponential energy for more people to be able to live their designs and allowing more of the kind of conditioning and those structures that you sort of feel like you have to adhere to, like as they fall away.
Mhm. Totally. I mean, the fact that we're moving out of like this tribal energy of making this huge effort to fit in for the last 400 years, and for that energy to dissolve cosmically, it's literally changing. People may not be aware of it, but it's happening. And it's changing into a space where all of a sudden you see sovereign individuals. You're not caught up in the habit of fitting into the tribe anymore. You just literally have like this, it's like a cosmic gift we're giving, like it's a frequency, background frequency shift. It really fascinates me too, because like I'm feeling it, I'm sensing it, I'm also aware of it because I've heard of it, but I'm definitely feeling it. So I'm wondering how that's showing up for people that are not yet aware of this, like how can we bring more awareness to more people to learn about this, because it's not a very known piece of information, the global cycle shift. What does that mean? Like I only saw that, that image that we see that shows all of the different ages that we've had for however long. I don't know exactly how long, but it's a very, very long time. I haven't seen that before, like 3 years ago. And it's a really interesting thing for humanity to recognize how we're all the background frequency affects us so much, to be to understand how to even look at that, because we're looking at very, very like specific information that shows that the transits, how the most major transits, how they're affecting humanity. So I'd love to hear from one of you more about this, because this is one of the most fascinating topics for me, to dive into and to help other people to understand how to work with it.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like, well, we know there's also always human design transits happening moment to moment. I mean, the moon is changing gates multiple times in a day. And in astrology, there's always transits happening too. And it's so fascinating because it's all happening whether you're paying attention to it or not. And I think we are part of, a subculture that is interested in the connection with how these global, broader, cosmic, cyclical, seasonal type of cycles interplay with our individual and collective and interpersonal lives on Earth. I personally am fascinated by it. I don't always have the consistent focus to track it on like a regular, I'm always kind of paying attention basis, but I sort of dip in and out. And I think in like just a spiritual way, I feel the connection, and I feel that there's a truth in it. And I think that there's a lot of value. Even I think there's like a lot of layers of value that you could draw from it. Like you could be doing rituals, and you could be setting intentions, and you could be really, really focused and like integrated with different transits that may be happening and tracking that for yourself. Or you could be like me, that kind of dips in and out, or just like feels the shift in a larger, broader, more abstract way. I think those are maybe two different extremes of it. But I think it's interesting, and I think that there's there just feels like an inherent value in it for me.
I love this topic. Um, there's so much depth here in human design because, like Bunny's talking about with the transits, they're constantly in motion. And it's exciting because as soon as you know something, as soon as you have an awareness, there's more. There's more to watch, there's more to witness. And the way that I can see it in the world with folks that may not know human design, I'm not sure if they do or not. They might, but I can see it very clearly in the art world, in the music world, in places where people are expressing themselves freely, in activism, in astrology, the way people are posting and showing up on social media and with their form of expression. The artist is such a rebel, always, always been a rebel. And for a long time, the rebellious voices of musicians and artists were put into systems. The way that musicians were, marketed to an audience was through a producing agency, or the way that bands were put together, they were assembled by other people. And that's literally shifting now because we have these tools at our hands where we can create our own profiles, we can show up and get noticed or seen in our own ways. And then also there's even shows, reality TV shows, where artists are given the agency to pick each other. Like musicians are creating their own bands and they're putting each other together based off of energy and frequency and how they think they will fit together. So the systems are no longer assembling. And like in the art world, in the gallery world, there's still gallery art and gallery representation, but there's a lot of artists out there that are getting seen through just their own profiles and their own, like expressive ways of creating. Like artists are going out on the street. And this is like wild for artists to really have this agency to speak up. So it's already like those systems are breaking down naturally just because people are recognizing their own individuality and their own empowerment. And this is the whole point of awareness. Like, even if you don't want, like, a viewer doesn't want to dive so deep into the human design system, at least they'll know this awareness is here to empower a person to be their full, unique, true self that they trust. Everyone has a trust inherently within them from, day one. And like, I think everyone can resonate that there's a little voice inside of them that they put down because of society and because of the systems in place. And this is the empowerment to just trust that little voice and let it out. however that looks, whatever system you use, whatever tools you use to free that little voice, and put that into something in your world around you, whether it be communicating it or creating from it. This is the real message and goal of Empowered by My Design.
Wow,
Yeah,
so
completely.
beautifully said. So beautifully said. Yes, I couldn't agree more. And it's just it represents every part of my life. Like seeing why things happened the way they did and realize that I'm also here at this time for a reason. It's like understanding my sole purpose of incarnating now. Why am I here now? And how invaluable this life is, not just to myself, but to everybody else who's open to my gifts. And that's empowerment. That's huge, huge, huge empowerment, because the arrival, being in a body, is not enough recognized as a absolute gift to humanity. Like each and every one of us being embodied and being here and being able to share our uniqueness, that's a gift to humanity. And yet it's like this journey of really embodying and recognizing that for ourselves first, because if we don't recognize ourselves first, no one will. And that's a paradigm shift. That's what we're experiencing right now.
One example that I was just listening to right before this is the artist and music producer Rick Rubin. If you've heard of him, he was sharing in an interview this exact topic. And I don't know if he knows human design, but his words, I love hearing someone and hearing their words just perfectly in tune with this message that we're sharing through human design. But it's so clear that it's already a thread that's being brought to the surface. And like you said, why now? This human design system gives us that. It helps us see why now, because we are looking at these global shifts from a big perspective of generations of human evolution as a species. So it does help to like zoom out, but then zoom back in, like, but why are we here? And what puzzle piece are we putting together in this great system of evolution?
Yeah, a totally new way of thinking and talking and being. And, we no longer take existence for granted. And
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
should probably speak for myself, but I feel like we have that in alignment.
Yeah, I think he's a really fascinating figure and one that is super inspiring. I know that some people have investigated his chart, but I don't recall the details at the moment. But I don't know if either of you have read his book, The Creative Act, that came out relatively recently. But I got it for my generator partner for Christmas a couple years ago because the whole thesis of the book is about how the inspiration and the ideas are out there in the ether, and you as a human are a vessel to receive those and then feel within yourself whether that's something you want to essentially respond to, and then go with. And it just felt like such a perfect, well written example of like a generator strategy. It's like, it's not about like go out there and force or seize or whatever these different ideas, or that you have to like push it, but it's like, no, you're a vessel, you're receptive, these different things come along, and it's about tuning into yourself and seeing what is activating you inside. And I just thought that was really beautiful, and it's so cool to see an example of a human design concept coming through in a different form of art and philosophy that's completely unrelated. It's like there's a universality to these things, and human design is one way of engaging with it. But I really appreciate what you were saying, Colin, earlier about it doesn't really matter how you engage with it. It's just about coming back into yourself and being your own authority in your own life. And that's a human design term, but it goes beyond human design, you know?
You know, this is interesting because I've looked up his chart before and I just wanted to double check. So I was looking at it again. But half of the day he's a generator, half of the day he's a projector. So I would love to know if anyone has the specific time, birth time, because I do hear, and he also has a cross of rulership that it shows, but I hear a lot of wisdom, you know, whether he's, when I first heard him, I was like, wow, this is great generator wisdom because also my partner, my past partner at the time got the book, was very inspired by the book, who's a generator, and was really moved by the wisdom in it. And so I can't help but think like he could also be a projector sharing this wisdom through lived experience of, you know, this, what this truth is that the majority of the world has a generating aura and a generating capacity and strategy. So he could be sharing that wisdom from either, you know, his own lived experience as a generator or experience as a projector offering guidance, you know, and it's really beautiful to see like that this, like the impact that this can create, whether there's a awareness of your design or not. I see that he's definitely speaking his truth. So,
Does he have a defined throat?
there's several chart options. He actually has an undefined throat though, in most of them. Oh,
Mm.
actually, all of them. Undefined throat, defined head and ajna, defined solar plexus to heart. So the channel of community and the channel of abstraction stays the same. And the only thing that changes that would make him a generator is the channel of mating.
Mm.
So we're just looking at that one in particular, but I do hear this kind of quality of abstraction.
Mm.
So maybe that's what I mean. When I say speaking truth, like it's to me, it sounds like the channels. It sounds like the wisdom. It sounds like the accumulation of someone's entire design. You know, like I don't think that there's, you know, whether someone's throat is defined or undefined, there's a way that it comes out, you know, through voice, and you can hear in someone's frequency when they're aligned.
Does he sound like a uniter to you? Because I would be the generator 659 energy.
Yeah, he has a very strong, what he shares is very, like, have you heard him speak before?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know who that is because couldn't place the face with the name.
He just has this quality of like
Probably have though.
um he's been through some shit, he's tried it out and he knows what works, you know,
Mm.
and I can just hear it. And maybe it's a
What's his
six line
profile?
quality, but there's something there
Yeah,
in
did you say the profile?
um yeah, either 3-5 or 4-6. So
Mm.
either way, that third line energy of like tried it, this is what's working.
Mm-hmm.
It would be awesome to know the exact birth time, but this is where we can like really dive into examples that we see in our life around us, and we hear their voices, and we can like relate it to maybe something in our charts and our designs or other people we know in their designs, and you can really see in people that are successful and that you see that they're like successful or satisfied in their lives. You want to know like, okay, what energy did they align with in themselves? It
Mm.
just presents this opportunity. And, you know, some people do it just through the trial and errors and the hardship of like what it is to live their life. And they get to that point eventually. But we have this awesome tool where we can just kind of like, even at a deeper level, create strategies and guidance for ourselves to get there. Make sure we get there with awareness, you know?
Yeah, this brings me to think about the concept of homogenized advice that we sometimes struggle with when you listen to someone sharing their truth, but you don't have a reference to where is their truth coming from, like what's their design, what's their journey. And that's what most people are actually in this conditioned space where we're listening to each other talking our truth, and we want to help each other from it, but we may not necessarily understand the complexity of the differentiated reality between them and us. So we think, oh, they may be knowing something that we don't know, and that we need to listen to that, versus, when you kind of listen to someone and you say, oh, well, that's a general truth. Right. So I do appreciate like having the ability to look at people's charts when I listen to them talk. Like, for example, on the online space, we get to see so many people we don't know personally. We see them and we get some kind of like a sense, but there's a big difference between sensing them based on intuition, which you can have a very good intuition, but still you may not know the full picture of who they are, because let's face it, nobody really knows, right? But like if you had their charts and you could see the nuances, and I'm going to give an example, and this might be a little controversial for some people, but not too long ago, we were dealing with some political stuff. We were hearing about something. I should probably mention his name. Charlie Kirk. That was a person that so many people were reacting to, or rather having an opinion about the way he was showing up. And you probably noticed the polarity, like lots of different opinions about, and we're talking about somebody we don't know personally. However, because the online space, we get to feel each other, we get to react to each other, we get to have an experience with other people and be impacted by them. Imagine the difference when you can actually see his charts, when you can actually appreciate his sacred geometry and understand what made him who he is or was, so that there can be more awareness around the gifts and the messages that came there. And I remember just witnessing quite a bit of different chats online, because I'm an observer, six color innocence. It's like observer quality. And I'm always interested to kind of watch what's happening out there. I mean, I'm just naturally gravitating always towards learning about the collective voices. Also, it's part of my correction energy. I'm picking up on the collective voices. And I want to be coming from a place of compassion, because I want to offer a solution, right? I don't want to just be like judging it. But my point here is to say that in many chats online, I find myself bringing the awareness of human design from a place of like, hey, by the way, I think that you might find some benefit to a system called human design that helps you see the uniqueness of an individual, including yourself. But you have that ability with everybody else. You could see pretty much, if you knew someone's time of birth, place of birth, date of birth, you could see that. You could really gain a lot of perspective on them and have a different appreciation for their uniqueness, which most people don't realize they have that kind of access. So this is kind of a huge topic, and I think it can help a lot when it comes to, working together. Learn how to work together from a place of awareness and appreciating each other's unique gifts,
And also, to add to that, another reason to look up someone's design, when you start to hear them and you start to resonate with them, it's really important, especially if they are claiming that they know some kind of universal truth for being. It's important to like look into that, because right now, especially, a lot of people are sharing their truth. And this is the time to share our truth. And it does become a little bit risky when someone says this is the truth for all, and to take that in and just take it for what it is, and to see the difference between a person's chart and your chart. Maybe part of that can be resonant, but there also might be parts that don't resonate because of specific reasons. So it's good to have this detail before just taking in a truth and saying, oh, this is mine now as well. I mean, there's some brilliant voices out there that have realized some universal truths, of course, but just to be more discerning.
For sure. And that's another reason to get in touch with ourselves and our authorities, and to really filter everything that we take in through our own frequency. And I think, yeah, that's how we determine like what is truly our kind of worldview, and then what is something that's clearly someone else's worldview. And for me, this process has helped me be more confident in how I see things and less swayed when I hear things that I don't resonate with, because it doesn't matter to me, it's not personal. It's like I'm witnessing someone else share their worldview. That's all it is,
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of medicine in that for greater like collective harmony.
Mhm. Totally.
This is such a big topic right now because we're seeing so much separation happening, which is part of, I mean, you could say that's what some people want, is that kind of separation, just polarizing, people, even within families, even within close friends, there's separation happening because of beliefs and truths and all of these things being heard. Whereas the medicine of knowing your difference is actually to come together. There's kind of an irony to it, right?
Mhm.
Like the more unique the more you recognize your uniqueness, the more you can see why another person would value you and why you value them, and there's a respect there in that awareness that I feel such a deep respect that helps me listen to other people's opinions without feeling any need to argue, and that is a peace. That's a peaceful way of being that just takes over. This is part of the deconditioning process. Like maybe y'all are feeling it too, where I just feel more at ease, when I interact with people because even if I don't know their design, I hear them and I'm like, well, that's probably coming from your design.
Mhm.
It just is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a game changer in relationship and communication, being able to listen to a person and realize that you're listening, like we said earlier in the conversation, that we're listening to their truth, we're listening to their synthesis, we're listening to their experience, we're listening to their projection, we're listening to their journey through words. And so it helps. I mean, for me, it's such a big difference from the way that I used to listen to certain people in my past that were big role models in my life. You can imagine that when you put someone on a pedestal and you're like, okay, this is who I should listen to because A, B, C, then that's the quickest way to actually lose touch with your authority. That was one of my biggest. I'm a 1-3. So 1-3s are known for making the kind of errors that are quite huge, like they're really meant for, it's almost like I'm doing this so that the collective can learn from it. And one of those biggest errors for me was being in that particular situation I just described right now, where there's another being that I put over myself, putting them on a pedestal and listen to their authority before mine. You see, so, and that's, I'm only talking like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, where the energy was different, right? I mean, we're noticing a shift now from one background frequency to another, but 10 years ago, it was still very much the old frequency. So it was very much in alignment with that frequency. It's like fit into the tribe, do as you're told, like don't consider yourself to know everything. Don't trust yourself. God forbid you think that you know everything, And I learned like over time that the truth in my experience, talking back about sovereignty, talking about everything that we mentioned in this conversation, is to trust my existence, to trust the fact that I'm in a body, to trust the fact that, there's a reason why I'm here. And so it started to shift everything from this experience of so many years of giving away my powers, consider someone else's truth over mine, and that when you practice that over years, it becomes a habit. It becomes hard to let go of this conditioning, but it's almost like I went through that on purpose so that I can see the difference, so I can appreciate the difference, and I can share with others the difference. This is part of my reasons for incarnations, is to really I believe that we all choose exactly the time we're born, and we choose our frequency before we come here, because we have a purpose with this arrival. And this is part of my particular purpose, is to help humanity through my own experience of what doesn't work as far as being myself. I cannot show up as myself when I'm constantly giving away my power to someone else. So this was a huge gift from human design for me. Huge. And I'm forever grateful for that. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because that's big for me.
You're keynoting the third line journey really well.
Yeah. It is that. It is really that. Thank you for saying it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. This is such an exciting time that we're in right now, because if you just look back at history, and you're bringing up such a important point of authority, who has authority over other people, and human design is you, the individual person, finding their own inner authority and finding their own divinity, right? So looking back at history, it's all of these systems that had authority, from dictatorships to monarchy to colonialism to men to now who has the most money, right? All of these, who has the authority.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in this time where it's actually each person is their own authority. That's kind of extremely radical, right? To offer every human being, regardless of where you live and what your race and what your economic background is, that you can find and tune in with your own inner authority. This is the most empowering and delicious thing. And I think there's a lot going on online of, oh, there's a lot of privilege to be in human design, to be involved because of the cost, of what things cost. And there's so many free resources online. There's so many people looking to connect. And I just want to throw this out there as encouragement for anyone listening to connect, to comment, to ask questions, and put yourself out there, because there's so many ways to learn about this and to find your way, back to yourself, because this is where we're moving with that global frequency.
Huge. And you can also learn on your own, you can, if you care about your life, which ideally, we're all here to learn that over time, is we are our own parents, each and every one of us. We're our own caretaker. And also, no one's coming to save us. We are our own, we are our own everything. And that's a really big one too. That's part of empowerment. It's bringing the power back to yourself, and I just feel like we are in such a powerful shifting moment now. My Venus is in the 0 degrees in Aquarius, which is gate 60 in the 5th line. That's exactly that. It's about the value that it's not communication, but it's the value of understanding the beauty of this moment, the shifting, the relating with other people, the beauty of that, and because it's empowerment, it's excitement, it's new possibilities, paradigm shift, all these things that's what we're here for, and celebrate about it and talk about it and create from it and create amazing modalities and systems that are speaking about this and teach that and empower others with that. It's just so exciting. That's what I signed up for. And now it's become clear to me because, it took the journey to get here. It's not like I was born knowing this. But imagine if you were born, imagine the kids now that are getting this support from the very beginning of their lives, what that can do for them, the magic and the possibilities and what this can mean for the future of this planet. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. And I want to go just another layer deeper. Of course, another layer deeper into if you're new to human design, you're wondering why it's so radical to trust your inner authority. That's because a lot of these systems of authority, they gain authority by controlling energy, by controlling resources and controlling other people's energy. So to get in tune with your own inner authority is to get in touch with how to move your energy in a way that's in alignment for you. So gaining access and acceptance and understanding of your own energy and the abundance of what you create every day with your energy, and having your own awareness of that means no longer letting those systems control you and control where your energy is being put and how it's being put in different places. And so this is literally going to break down systems when people realize their own abundance and their own creation of energy and resource every day. This is a huge, right? So I just wanted to take it another level deeper in the empowerment of seeing that, seeing how this is so tied into everything that we're going through systematically in the world.
Big time. Big time. This is why we're here. Yeah, to communicate that, to share that, to offer that, to, to be ourselves in the process of supporting others. And we're projectors, so we're not here for ourselves. We actually chose to come here for others. And there's a magic in that, 70% of the population is different, but there's this magical symbiotic possibility when we understand how to work with the different gifts of each auras and understand that it's perfect as it is. We just have to learn how to work with it, and yeah. I was just going to say, the rulership for Incarnation Cross that I have has this, I've been studying what's the purpose of this energy. And it really wants to share its own, most dear values. And for me, it's sovereignty. So it wants sovereignty for everybody. And when I started putting together my new offerings as of the last 3 years as a professional cellist who went through major spiritual awakenings since a very young age, I've been in a very unusual journey, coming from the US, graduating from a beautiful school and thinking I'm supposed to go in a certain direction, but I ended up going into a very deep contemplative journey, a spiritual journey. And for years, I didn't know exactly what it meant, how I'm supposed to connect the dots. But eventually, as life is always going to show you that things are happening for a reason, I realized that I am meant to serve from my passions. And my passion is really about sharing the things that I love doing, my creativity, my inner dialogue, my vulnerable learnings, And I also have innocence motivation, which is basically this quality of being myself, being in my naked self, you could say, as an artist who is also a ruler. And so I'm finding my qualities coming together in my offerings, and it's been really important for me to continue studying, to continue understanding myself, to continue showing up in my awareness for others, because that's how I'm serving them better. The more aware of myself, the more I serve them better. And I can share a lot more. I mean, I could talk all day about my design, but I really want to just say that it's so important when we recognize the opportunity that we have with a system like human design. Is giving us so much information about ourselves. It's giving us a world of so much wisdom, and there's like endless beauty and endless depth and endless potential that you can really connect the dots with who you are and understand yourself and why you're here and how you want to show up and dream the dream of your existence, really being free like a sovereign in a time where you can affect so many beautiful people around you and feel fulfillment. That's part of why we're here, is to feel the truest fulfillment of being in a body. And that's a beautiful thing. And I'm grateful to be able to speak to that. And I'm also inviting everyone to check. Each of us have information about our work. We're going to be sharing some links where you can find more about us. And for example, I have my website, my chart on my website. So, if you're interested to learn, dive into that, I'm definitely an open book, like Colleen. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to share with other people.